Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we'll look to the Blood Angels chapter, the Knights of Blood. Why are they disliked by their fellow angels? What key role will they play during the devastation of Baal? Friends, let's find out. We draw from the archives today from the Devastation of Baal by Guy Haley. Gabriel Seth, chapter master of the Fleshtearers on Baal Primus, finds another chapter there. Seth had isolated his warriors, as due to their potential falling to the Red Thirst, he does not want them fighting other Blood Angels. So he sees the Knights of Blood as a complication. The equipment of the Knights of Blood was as battered and spattered with old blood as that of his own chapter. He recalls their history. Several years ago, the Knights of Blood had declared a crusade against all enemies of the Imperium, but so savage was their campaigning, and so broad their definition of an enemy, that they had been declared renegades by the High Lords of Terror themselves. Before then, they had been like the Fleshtearers, looked upon warily by their allies. Now they were friendless and persecuted, though they protested that they were still loyal to the Imperium, another force close to extinction. Though they had gone further down the road of damnation than Seth and his warriors, it was only chance that their positions were not reversed. The leader speaks to Seth. He is called Centaur Jewel, first blade of the Knight's Blood. They argue Seth does not want the Knights near his own forces, but Jewel says he will fight alongside them, and that his chapter is blessed with the foresight of Sanguinius, and that he feels the hunger of the swarm. Jewel says the Fleshtearers have conquered some of what their bloodlusts are, a sign of hope for his own chapter, and he mentions a legend that allies fail if they do not fight together, and so they will fight alongside his terrors. Seth acknowledges but doesn't really agree. Seth, also being awkward, will not drink with Jewel either, but they have been deployed alongside each other and will fight together. Later, Karbanda, servant of Slanesh and a greater demon bloodthirster, comes to this moon of Baal. He's only one creature that is obsessed ending the Dark Angels and doesn't want the Tyranids to do this for him. Mephiston has tried to banish Karbanda, but has only partially done that, and so Karbanda moves through the spaces between worlds, and this takes place around the opening of the Great Rift, and with that and a single swipe of his axe, he splits space-time, exploiting a fault line opened by the cicatrix maledictum. Karbanda emerged into the material universe high over Baal Primus as the rift split the sky, and the rolling energies of chaos spread like a slick of burning promethium over the depths of space. The red world of Baal was before him. His promised prize was so close, but he was ahead of the storm, and Mephiston could not banish him entirely, but managed to do it partially, so his body had not knitted together correctly, and his time felt limited. And as Karbanda fell closer to Baal Primus' chilly surface, the great rift boiled in system. An invisible psychic shockwave ran before it, disrupting the battle as it slammed into the monumental soul of the hive mind. Karbanda laughed to hear the bioships screaming as their psychic web was shattered. He eyed them covetously. Such giant skulls the ships possessed, all worth offerings for the Lord of Blood, Khorne. And he reached the moon where Seth fought with redoubled fury. His men and the Knights of Blood warred side by side. The Tyranids scaled the necklace. Numerous as the extinct ants of ancient Earth, they poured into the cavities of the downed orbitals. The ground already vibrated to the drumming of 1,000,000 alien pounding through the passages. Nothing was left, only Tyranids, and Seth remained. The giant filaments of feeding tubes rose up to the sky, all around their position. The swarms attacking them were reinforced by others diverted from battles won. There was such order to the armies. They marched in perfect patterns, like a vortex described by grains of sand. They circled around the last fortress of Baal Primus, queues of Xenos, waiting patiently to die, stretched from the horizon to the fort, protected by a sacred reliquary gifted by Dante to Seth. It's a feather of Sanguinius, so he and his brothers near him are protected from this washing of the warp. Because of that, a Fleshtearers' black rage was terrible to behold, more savage and devastating than that of their brother chapters. Quick to rise, harder to fight off, Seth left his warriors to their fate. They would die as they had lived in service to the Emperor of mankind. They retreat and plan to abandon the planet. But as this happens, a burning meteor plummeted through the thinning aerial swarm. Seth mistook it for a weapon of some kind, and the Tyranids in the area are damaged, and they see a demon hit the ground with its axe. A column of skulls burst up from there, and the skulls from all across the battlefield were drawn to it, and it kept growing, heading out of the real world into some other place. The black rage answered Khorne's call. Some Lasanthian howled, the rest held on. The relic aided Seth, as I mentioned. Demons emerged from the column, fighting the Tyrannid. Seth speaks with Jewel and a few others. Jewel says, "The rage has us. It punishes us. My chapter is finished." When did this happen? Years ago. It began like it is with you, a rise in the thirst, a growing number of our brothers falling into the black rage. In our desperation, we let ourselves give in to thirst. For while it helped, by the blood of the innocent, we controlled ourselves. It did not last. Soon these changes set in. We thought blood would save us. It damned us. Look upon me, Seth. There are creatures like me, imprisoned in the Tower of Amareo on Baal. If our true nature were known, we would be exterminated. Only blood keeps the black rage in check now. Only blood. This is why we fight alone. I would fight with you because you, of all our brother chapters, would understand. Jewel looked out over the battle. Most of his warriors had broken from the fort and fought outside its walls. The wrath of the beast provokes the thirst. The demons of Khorne covet our kind. They see our rage as the same as theirs. They are wrong. Ours remains a holy fury. No doubt this beast wishes to subvert our might to its own end and deliver us as slaves to its bloody god. It shall not be so. And so Jewel stays while Seth tries to leave. He says to Seth to remember his chapter as a lesson for his own, and Jewel led his warriors into this vision of hell, whilst the Tyrannids burned around him and fought. Jewel in his mind thought that some of their own faces were as monstrous as the demons they fought. Jewel resisted the urges of Khorne, and Jewel fights through to Kabanda, shouting his name. "Kabanda, face me. In the name of the great angel, fight me. Here I am, Centaur Jewel. I will fight you, though you are no Primarch," the bloodthirsty replied. He then makes an offer for Jewel to join Khorne, and Jewel says, "By his fury, I shall stand." And they fight, and Centaur Jewel roared his last and charged at the angel's bane. The story does not give us the blows, but instead turns to Seth. Both he and Apollos struggle to keep their bloodlust down, chanting, "His blood I am made," over and over again. They are both being able to escape due to the sacrifice of Centaur Jewel, last chapter master of the Knights of Blood. So now I turn things over to you. Do you think Jewel got a few swings in against the greater demon? I don't know how it ended, but not long after the warp energy is gone, as are the demons, so we might have bought time stopping Kabanda, getting to Baal, and making things even worse for the angels there against the Tyrannid. So what did you think? Do you enjoy the insolence of Seth as much as I do? Have you heard of the Knights of Blood? Have you fought Kabanda on the moon of Baal? Comment down below.